something to you that Yahweh told our father Abraham. I'm going to pick this up at Genesis chapter 15, and I'm going to read start this at verse 7. And he said unto Abraham, I am Yahweh that brought you out of Ur of the Chaldees to give you this land to inherit it. And he said, Adonai Elohim, whereby shall I know that I shall inherit it? And he said unto him, Take me an heifer of 3 years old, and she-goat 3 years old, and a ram of 3 years old, and a turtle and a young pigeon. And he took unto him all these, and divided them in the midst, and laid them one piece against another. But the birds he divided not. We're going to skip down at verse 13 here. It says, And he said unto Abram, Know the surety that your seed shall be a stranger in a land that is not theirs, and shall serve them, and they shall afflict them 400 years. And also that nation whom they serve will I judge, and afterwards shall they come out with great substance. Now, he said we've been in captivity for 400 years and will serve our captors and be afflicted by our captors for 400 years. Well, if you get down and read, a lot of people like to say that this is when our fathers, the children of Israel, was in Egypt. Well, if you go back and check the Egyptian captivity, you'll find out that captivity was 430 years, and Yahweh does not make 30-year mistakes. As a matter of fact, if you read the holy story, you'll find out that Joseph, when we first went down into Egypt, there were 70 people in our whole nation. And during the time when we first went down there, Joseph was vice regent of Egypt. He was second in command. So we didn't serve for 400 years. We only went into service to about the last 100 years that we were down in Egypt, and that was during the time when Moses was born, when they began to kill off our children, hoping to kill off the deliverer. The same thing that happened today. Anytime someone come up that's talking about delivering us and us becoming independent and so forth and so on, if the government don't get that person in their pocket, what ends up happening is those people end up being killed off. Maybe I'm just going to go a little further with another covenant here. I'm going to go into Genesis 22, and I'm going to pick this up at verse 15. And the angel of Yahweh called unto Abraham out of heaven the second time. Now, what had happened was that Yahweh had told Abraham that he was going to bless his son Isaac. But then after Isaac was born, he told him, said, look, you take that boy and you bring him up to sacrifice him unto me. So that kind of put our father Abraham in a pretty precarious position, simply because Yahweh had told him that in Isaac shall the seed be called. That Isaac was going to be the one that was going to receive, be the recipient of the covenants that was made with Abraham. But then he told him, said, well, look, you bring this boy up there and sacrifice him. So we can imagine our father Abraham had a problem with that. But what did he do? He followed his instruction. And this is what people don't like to do today. They don't like to follow their instructions. They like to do what they want to do simply because every man thinks he stands in God's stead. But let me finish reading this here. And this is Genesis 22 and verse 16. And said, By myself have I sworn, saith Yahweh, for because you have done this thing and has not withheld your son, your only son, that in blessing I will bless you, and in multiplying I will multiply your seed as the stars of heaven, and as the sand which is upon the seashore. And thy seed shall possess the gates of his enemies. And in your seed shall all the nations of the earth be blessed, because you have obeyed my voice. Now when he told him, say, in your seed shall all the nations of the earth be blessed, he was talking about the Messiah. And when he told him that his seed was going to possess the gates of his enemies, he was still talking about the Messiah. But we don't get that possessing the gate of enemies today. What we get is this: people being whished off to heaven, and then there ain't nothing else they can say but we're going to heaven. That's all. That's the end of it. But Yahweh is not a God that don't let you know what you're in for, everything that's going to happen, so you can make up your mind whether you want this blessing or whether you want something else. And most of us don't want the blessing that Yahweh has given us. We always want something more. I'm going to go here again into Genesis chapter 28. What I'm dealing with tonight is the covenants that Yahweh made. So when you get in the New Testament and read the New Testament, think about these covenants and see if the covenants match with what the interpretation of men is in the New Testament. This is Genesis chapter 28, and I'm going to pick this up at verse 1. And Esau called Jacob and blessed him, and charged him, and said unto him, You shall not take a wife of the daughters of Canaan. Arise, go to Padanaram to the house of Bethuel, thy father's mother, and take you a wife of her. So Isaac told his son Jacob, said, look, don't pollute your holy seed. What you do is you go down to my father's house and you get you somebody from there. But see, we don't want to deal with that today. What we like to do is this. We like to deal with that strange flesh. We like intermarrying and so forth. And Yahweh told us, don't let your cattle mix with diverse kind. Don't sow mingle seeds together. Don't make covenants with the people of the nations. And truly, marriage is a covenant. I'm going to pick this up at verse 10. This is Genesis 28, verse 10. And Jacob went out from Beersheba and went toward Haran. And he lighted upon a certain place and tarried there all night, because the sun was set. And he took up the stones of that place and put them for his pillows, and lay down in a place to sleep. And he dreamed, and behold, a ladder set upon the earth, and the top of it reached to heaven. And behold, an angel of God, the angels of God, ascending and descending on it. You remember the song our folks used to sing, We Are Climbing Jacob's Ladder? This is where they got that from. Verse 13, And behold, Yahweh stood above it and said, I am Yahweh Elohim of Abraham your father, and the Elohim of Isaac. The land whereon thou liest, to thee will I give it, and to your seed. And your seed shall be as the dust of the earth. And you shall spread abroad from the west, and to the east, and to the north, and to the south. And in you, and in your seed, shall all the families of the earth be blessed. Now, he was in here, he said in you and in your seed. When he said in him, he was referring to Jacob's children that would come along, which was the 12 tribes of the children of Israel. And when he said, and in your seed shall all the families of the earth be blessed, he was talking about the Messiah. People tell you it don't make a difference which nation he came out of. Yes, it does, simply because Yahweh was in the process of fulfilling covenants that was made with various people that he was talking about. So the Messiah would have to be a Hebrew Israelite. He would have to come from the 12 tribes of the children of Israel. But today, what we get is we get a picture of you, a Gentile, and the Gentiles was never one of the 12 tribes of the children of Israel. I'm going to pick this up here at chapter 28 and verse 15. It says, And behold, I am with you, and will keep you in all places whither you goest, and will bring you again into this land, for I will not leave you until I have done that which I have spoken of unto you. And if you go and read if you read the book of Genesis, and get back and just meditate on the name of the churches in the old churches in our neighborhood, and what you're going to do, you're going to find all of these names right up here in the book of Genesis. Those were places that Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, and the 12 tribes of Israel, our fathers, made sacrifices to God. And when we got over to this country here, we did not sing any songs about Africa, and we did not name any churches after any places in Africa. We didn't sing about returning to Africa. We talked about returning to the land of Israel and named our churches after holy places in Israel. Now let me go a little further. I'm going in the book of Exodus now. Exodus chapter 20. And I'm going to read some things out of Exodus chapter 20. Once again, the phone number here is 44892-5614. That's 44892-5614 if you care to call. I'm going to pick this up at Exodus 20. And what I'm going to do is read portions of the Old old covenant, which they like to call it, the old covenant that Yahweh made with our fathers. And what you do, I'm going to read these things, and what you, the people say we're not under the law, we're under grace. Well, what I want you to do is ask yourself, when we read these things, what's wrong with what we read? Wouldn't it be a better world if people would keep the things that are written by God instead of following the constitutions and dictates of men? Genesis chapter 20, Exodus rather, chapter 20, and I'm going to pick this up at verse 1. And Elohim spoke all these words, saying, I am Yahweh your Elohim, which have brought you out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage. You shall have no other gods before me. You shall not make unto you any graven image of any likeness of anything that is in heaven above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the water under the earth. You shall not bow down yourself to them, nor serve them, for I am your Elohim, am a jealous Elohim, visiting the iniquity of the father upon the children to the third and fourth generation of them that hate me, and showing mercy unto thousands of them that love me and keep my commandments. Now, he said in verse 4, you shall not make unto you any graven image of any likeness of anything that is in heaven above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the water under the earth. Well, the first symbol that the Christians used was in Europe, and it was what? That fish that we begin to see on the back of people's cars today. And Yahweh told us not to do that, but the church sells them to their members. And we also got this cross with this little man on it, and it represents Christianity. Well, we have to remember one thing. Christ was not a Christian. Christ did not start anything new. Paul told you that Christ was, we're going to read that, but Christ came to minister to those who were under the first testament. This is why he said in St. Matthew 15 chapter that he was not sent but to the lost sheep of the house of Israel. He had to come and verify the covenant that was written with our fathers, which we're going to read a little later on. I'm going to pick this up. This is Exodus chapter 20 and verse 6. Verse 5, rather. You shall not bow down yourself to them, nor serve them, for I, Yahweh, your Elohim, am a jealous God, visiting the iniquity upon the fathers upon the children to the third and fourth generation of them that hate me, and showing mercy unto thousands of them that love me and keep my commandments. Now, it's interesting to notice that in Revelation's 12th chapter, when Satan gets thrown out of heaven, he goes to make war with the people who produced the Messiah. This is in Revelation's 12. You read that when you get a chance to. When Satan is cast out of heaven, he goes to make war with the people that were the progenitors of the Messiah. And these are the ones that Revelation tell you they have the commandment, they keep the commandments of Yahweh and have the testimony of Yahshua. And when you get into from the Genesis down to Revelation, you find out that the Hebrew Israelites wrote this great legacy and left it, Yahweh had them leave it here so his people can find them. But what happened was the nations got hold of it, and the nations taught us religion out of a history book. And the things that they teach, the Old Testament does not back up the things that they teach in the New Testament. This is Exodus 20 and verse 7. You shall not take the name of Yahweh your Elohim in vain, for Yahweh will not hold him guiltless that taketh his name in vain. Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. Well, when you get back in history, what do you find out? The very first thing that these Euro-Gentiles, these white folks changed was the Sabbath day from Saturday to Sunday. Look it up in the encyclopedia. Emperor Constantine and Pope St. Look under Constantine the Great. Emperor Constantine and Pope St. Leo was the one that made Christianity legal in the Roman Empire, and he also changed the Sabbath day from Saturday to Sunday. And Yahweh told us, say, remember it to keep it holy. Now people don't even know which day they